Hello and welcome back to Exploring the Black Country, back on the canals today. Got the Birmingham mainline that goes all the way to Wolverhampton. This is a section what I'm going to be covering, and covering bits of history what I haven't covered before. Because back in the old days there was a lot of industry on the sides down there, coal mines. There was even off branches for the canal just further down the bottom, even loading wharves. So I will cover bits and pieces around that when I get down to there. But you can just see at the moment we've got a Netherton Tunnel branch from where we come from. Netherton Tunnel right away to the bottom. Really interesting place. I do love coming through there because the tunnel is really old. You imagine when it was constructed in 1855. It does really date back a bit. So right, these bridges are really interesting. You can just see the Netherton Tunnel branch meeting the BCN main line. Got a toll ends work bridge right around that corner. But if I just zoom in, you can get a little bit of a close look at it from this angle. So I do believe that these toll end work bridges, especially the ones in the bungalow, were cast at the Horsey Ironworks in Tipton. So you can believe how far this really does date back. So I do think these were actually constructed in 18 something, I believe. That one over there is really old. I think they have painted over it several times. You can just see the paint chipping right away down onto there, especially on these angles onto here, you can see the paint chipping. But you can just imagine how long it really took to construct these bridges itself. Really interesting. Let's go down there. I've got some really cool stuff to show you. So we'll journey towards Tipton, and we've got lots of stuff comparing to the old Ordnance Survey maps of collieries and little bits and pieces. So right, where we're going to be heading is to Coseley, to the tunnel what's actually down there. It is believed on the internet it's supposed to be haunted. A woman called Hannah Johnson Cox who murdered her young children. I think it was just at the entrance to the tunnel, I believe. And there is some stories behind that, so when I get there I'll tell you more about it. I've been reading things online. I've even found a photo of Hannah Johnson Cox, so I'll show you a bit later on. So it's once more really cool to see that. I mean, how far it really does date back. Where the Netherton Tunnel branch is a little bit further down, not too far, here's an old Ordnance Survey map, so you can just see what's onto here. It does say Denby Hall Colliery, John's Lane Farm, and also if we go right away to the top, it says Horsley Heath, and a bit further up, Horsley Works. So is that the Horsley Ironworks from where these bridges were made back in the old days? Even further up there, you've got even more stuff, shafts, old chapels. It comes to a place called Toll End. So that's actually why that's called Toll End Works, on the bridges right away down the bottom. So right, let's go and journey further down the Birmingham Canal into Tipton itself, and we'll look at the old Ordnance Survey maps and compare and see what other interesting things we can see, what are not there no more. So right, here we are, Waterway Lane Bridge. There's some really interesting stuff comparing to the old Ordnance Survey maps here. But you can just see right away in front the Waterway Lane Bridge. And then further in front we've got a very old one. I think it says something BCN on it and a date right away to the bottom. You can just see some evidence remains of something right away there in the middle. So maybe there was an old bridge that went all the way across, so they built a new modern one, because maybe this one was collapsing back in the old days. So if I am correct, there was definitely an old bridge that went right away over and led to the other side. But once more, what I find really cool about the Birmingham Canal at times, it goes so clear. If I had to zoom in, you can just see all the things in there. There's little bits and pieces. I have just noticed something down here somewhere, right the way down. I'm not too sure what that is, and also something big. So right, if we just get back on our bike, the next one that I want to show you is really interesting, because not only the bridge, I think on the right, the canal used to split off and go right away down to the bottom, known as the Toll End branch. So here we are, here's good evidence of the canal back in the old days from where it even led to, because there is a bridge just a bit further under this one on the right where the boats go right away in. But this one's really cool, so you can see this one dates so old. It says BCN 1880 right away to the top. I think that is actually the Toll End branch what went right away through. But then you can get a really nice view of the Birmingham Canal to the Waterway Lane Bridge right away at the bottom. So right, I think I am correct. The section what you can see right away in front of you, if I just pan around, we've got some little boating facilities. But that corner there, back in the old days, I think it was a lock, so the canal would have gone all the way around and gone further that way, I believe. So right, this is actually an old Ordnance Survey map of the canal what went all the way through, so you can just see where it starts from the bridge where we are, goes all the way through from where I showed you just, and it loops all the way around. It's called BCN Toll End Locks, so then it goes further down on the right. I think the canal goes even further on that way, I believe. So by looking at the old Ordnance Survey maps one more time, the Toll End Locks, the canal what comes from this corner, goes through to Tipton Cemetery. It keeps on going, I believe, and I think it meets another canal section. It joins up to the Walsall Canal, so you can see how far it really does go. So I think it actually meets closer to the canal section what we've done before, the Tyne Valley Canal. So I am looking a bit further on the maps, which is really cool. So this is actually where it leads all the way out. So right, photo on for you now, so you can just see the old maps. It leads a bit close to the lower Ocker Hill branch, just right around the corner. We have got some old factories, Crown Brickworks, old coal shafts, and there's something there, Toll End Junction. So if I do go back down the Walsall Canal at a later date, I might try and find evidence of where that even led through. So right into the distance over there is a place called Tibbington. So I compare to the old Ordnance Survey maps, and that one's once more cool. So I have managed to find some very old photos. This one's actually Tibbington Workhouse, so it's in Tipton, situated on the corner of Lower Church Lane and the Workhouse Lane, now Alexandra Road. So right, I've got an old photo to show you right away now. So this is actually the Tile End branch canal. What you can just see in the photo is really interesting. It says here, Worsley Limited, whose workmen are seen here in around 1920. So you can just see how far the canal really does date back. It's just so interesting to see a canal, what was there, what's not there no more. So going all the way through where the canal led to is all housing estates now. So it is interesting to see what's on the Walsall Canal section by the Lower Ocker Hill branch. But once more, you can just see the Birmingham Canal mainline where it comes through to the branch itself right away below. So I have just noticed the sign down to it. It says Waterloo Lane Junction, the Tipton Green and Tile End communication formerly crossed the Birmingham level at this point, 1809 to 1960. It says onto there the British Waterways Board, so that is once more a very old sign. And then further right down the bottom, I just find this really cool. You can just see the date, 1880. So imagine when this was actually placed onto there. And then we've got BCN right around the corner. But I will give you one more view of the site where the branch went all the way through, so you can just see the evidence of the canal today where it went to the lock right around the corner. So this is all what's left of it at the moment, where the narrow boats are moored all the way up. So I believe it would have gone from there straight the way through, so it would have gone further in the distance and then turned right, I believe. And then there is some more things right away down the corner. We've got a little basin coming right away in. I think on the old maps but that was there in the late 1800s, I believe. So once more, this bit here is really dating old. So right, let's go and journey further down and see what other things we can actually find. But this one has to be an interesting section. Seeing where old canals went through back in the old days is just so fascinating. So right, just a little bit further down we've got Tipton Station Bridge, just right around the corner, a main road what goes over the canal line. Just at the back over here I'm on a very old bridge leading all the way across. I don't think it led to anything back in the old days, it was just a walkway bridge, but you can just see how old it really is. So there is a church right away over there, that's another place what I've not been to and seen inside, so I might pop round there at a later date. But comparing to the old Ordnance Survey maps, just right away behind me over there was something called an engineering works. It doesn't have a name, but it was actually really close to Tipton Station. And then further behind there, we got something called water shaft, malt houses. You've even got a place called Bloomfield House. You've even got ironworks. But not only that, there is actually a railway line, I believe, says there, Princess End branch, L and NWR. But there is another canal section, I believe, says towing path that leads all the way through with a basin, and that is actually at the top of the engineering works with Tipton Green blast furnaces. That is really cool to see, and that factory had a loading wharf on that canal section. I don't think that's actually there today, it's all housing estates compared to the old Ordnance Survey maps one more time. So there we go, evidence of old canals, what led all the way across, just right away behind me. It led all the way up to coal mines. There's even a tramway what went to a loading wharf called Motor Colliery. So there we go, once more some interesting things down to it. So I thought I might have told you about that, because those are things what I've not covered before when I've come down to the canal section itself. But let's go and journey further on. I think we've got some more things to see and also discover. But just before we go, I will give you a little bit of view of the Birmingham Canal. You can just see down there Tipton Station Bridge right away down to the bottom. And what's really cool, it says onto a sign that's really old, please slow down, boatyard ahead, it says diesel, pump out, and it says something onto the corner. Not too sure if that's actually a modern sign or a really old one for the boatyard, what you're seeing down by the branch what I showed you. But just onto the corner once more, if I just look a bit further under the bridge, there is actually an archway just right away under there, what I've also just noticed when coming down to here. That one is really cool. So I've seen one of those in the Tyne Valley Canal section. There's a little bit of an arch like that, which is really cool. So right, let's go have a little bit of a journey on. I think there is some more things to look at, so let's go and see what we can find. So right, I have done a video before on this canal, but I went all the way up to the Wolverhampton section. I have missed out quite a lot of history on these parts. This is actually why I'm recovering part of a video on this, because there's so much cool stuff when you look at the old Ordnance Survey maps. I mean, there is another bridge coming right away up. So right, this one right away in front, do excuse the wind if it's a bit windy, it's going horrible at the moment. This one's called a Wood Street footbridge, what leads right away to the top. I'm not too sure if this was actually built in the 1800s or around that date or early 1900s, but what I find cool about it is the other canals what I've been to down the West Brom area. You may have seen Lattice Accommodation Bridge, that is actually the same design as that, of a lattice effect going right away to the top. So bridges are all built different, so it's nice to see some different construction of the bridges. So if you do know what date this was actually constructed, then please drop it into the comments. But I am guessing this one's really old. You can just see the wooden supports underneath the bridge and also the metal right away to the top. Some parts of it are really rusty, indicating that this bridge might be really old. If I just view there, you can just sort of see it. And then further around there, you can just get a nice view of the wooden supports right away underneath. And then a view just going right away to the other side underneath it. So right, we are coming to some locks now to meet to the Wolverhampton level. So you can just see right away in front, we've got a lock. And then it comes to another bridge right away at the top, and there is something on the left which is derelict. So I will compare it to the old Ordnance Survey maps and see what it actually was. I think it was some really old industry, I believe. So it's just right away up there. If I zoom in, you can sort of see the top of it sticking right away out. A very old industry. So here we are, here's that lock what I was talking about underneath the bridge. This one must date really old, back a bit. So I have just noticed there is writing on the brick right up to there. It says White House. I'm not too sure if that says Bloomfield, but there is something there. It could say Bloomfield, I believe, I might be wrong. White House, Bloomfield. It's cool to see writing on the very old brick just up to there. You can just see it just onto the corner. But you can just definitely tell this one's really old, how badly rusty it is onto the corner. And then once more underneath, you can see the lock onto this angle, but also that industry, which is really interesting. It is derelict, just right away there. So right, you can sort of now get a better view as I come further up the lock of the industry, what's right around the corner. What I find fascinating about it, if I zoom in, is the patterns right away to the top. You can also see the evidence of decay right away into there. All the tiles have fell right away through and gone to the bottom. I think there is some really odd wheels right away to the top of the ceiling, because if you can get to the other side, I have noticed right away above the ceiling when you look through the window. But it is making you wonder what it is. So let's get the old Ordnance Survey maps out and see if it was here back in the old days. So right, here's the old Ordnance Survey maps. This is actually called factory locks. So back in the 1800s, by viewing of it, it was actually there, which is really interesting. And just a bit further down, there is actually another towing path, just right away to the back. It says Towing Path Forge, got something called Neptune. And also at the back of this slot here, it says Malt House, which is really quite cool. If you do know much information behind this, just right around the corner, please also drop it in the comments. I have had a quick sneak peek around it and it's really quite cool. So I've got the video footage on my channel membership, so if you do go over, go and check it out. So yeah, that is really cool to see. Let's go and journey further down. We've got another bridge and the canal splits off, and I believe it goes all the way to the Dudley Tunnel. So it was used back in the old days to bring traffic all the way through. So the Netherton Tunnel was actually built to relieve that traffic, to relieve the congestion going all the way down to the Dudley number 2 canal. So you can definitely tell this is really old. If I just pan around to show you, you can see all that bit onto the corner there, all derelict. Parts of it is actually burnt. You can obviously see kids have been in there and graffitied it all together. Once more, that probably really dates back onto the land itself, right back as I showed you on the old Ordnance Survey maps. We've got the bridges right away. This one's actually called Factory Junction Bridge, and it parts off to the left like I mentioned. I think it goes all the way to the Black Country Living Museum and then through the Dudley Tunnel. You can also loop all the way around and come from the far back bit on the BCN old line that goes all the way to Albury. So yeah, here we go, a closer look at the Factory Junction Bridge. I'm guessing this one has a really old date to it. You can just see how old it is altogether. It is a really interesting branch. I've been down there a few times. You imagine back in the old days when all this canal was working, this junction going all the way down, used in the Industrial Revolution for when the limestone linkings were actually being used, bringing all the goods all the way down to here to meet to the Birmingham Canal. Back in the old days once more, I have mentioned Netherton Tunnel a few times in my videos before, why it was actually built. It was built to relieve the traffic down that canal section in the Dudley Tunnel, so boats could pass through with no issues at all, because it is actually a two-way traffic system, making traffic coming all the way through much more easy. You can imagine back in the old days, Dudley Tunnel, how long it really took to go all the way through. But legging back in those days, it must have took ages. There was so much traffic building up and boats waiting to cross from one point to another. It must have took so many hours. You can see photos on now of legging. I mean, it must have been a tiresome job, but the work what they pulled in was so fascinating. A better view of the branch going all the way down to the bottom. So you can see Dudley Castle. If I zoom in, there's Dudley Castle by the zoo, right away to the top of that hill up to there. You've got Castle Hill Woods. So the limestone linkings are only round that corner right away to the back. And then we've got another one, Factory Bridge. I think this one's actually a modern one. It's not really too old. So there we go, some more interesting stuff. I hope you've learnt some little bits and pieces that have come down the Birmingham Canal, some new stuff every time. You know, the old Ordnance Survey maps give you an overview of what was there back in the past, what's not there anymore. So I just really do find it fascinating. I mean, you look at the old walls, I mean, this is actually all modern here, before I journey further on. I mean, you can definitely tell bridges like these, the one that I'm going to go over now, led to industry back in the old days. If I just pan in, you can just see an in bit going right away through, what doesn't go through there anymore. So maybe there was another canal linking right around that corner. So yes, I think I might be correct. You can just see right away below me, the canal back in the old days went right away through. And you see the very old wall what leads right away down onto that angle. Journeying further down, you can just see evidence it went all the way through there, padding down. So the canal would have gone through there. They've actually bricked it up at the moment to support it. If I zoom in, you see evidence where it went right away through. So right, by comparing to the old Ordnance Survey maps, I've just noticed the canal did go through, but it didn't go through fully. It led to some loading wharves for something called a proving house, and then it leads on to some railway sections which links all the way on to the Stour Valley line, which is really quite cool. So there we go, once more, some interesting information and history just down further towards the coseley section. So yeah, that led to two loading wharves. If I just view onto this corner to show you where there was, you can just see the modern factory. So the two loading wharves would have been on that corner, and then further behind there would have been another one on that corner leading in a fork going that way. So there was something over the back called proving works. So there was an engineering works where that house is just right away at the moment. I just really do learn new things, but what I find fascinating once more is that old wall. You can just see, I think it is collapsing. So I have just noticed of a very old wall, possibly dates to the 1800s, but I've noticed it's sort of bowing out a little bit, probably going to collapse. I've noticed that bit there is cracked, it's bowing a bit that way, sort of. Yeah, you can definitely see what I mean. If I zoom in, the massive crack in the wall, that's definitely going to come down at some stage, that is. I think the whole wall is. You see the way it's actually bowing all the way out. If I zoom out, it just doesn't look straight at all. I mean, every time I've come down here I've noticed that's getting worse and worse. So right, there we go, some more information. I'm heading to Coseley Tunnel now. I think it's only round the corner. But before I get to Coseley Tunnel itself, I want to show you a very old bridge, what I find interesting. So we will compare that one to the old Ordnance Survey maps and see what was there back in the old days. It does say a date on there of 18 something, so we'll go and check that out. Wow, the wind is really picking up. So you may have seen this scene before in my old video coming down to Wolverhampton. There was a factory going right away in the distance with smoke. I think it's that one right away in front. It was really cool to see that. It just brings back, you know, memories of back in the old days when factories were giving off smoke. And it is actually going again. Zooming in, there we go. It just seems like I've gone back in time and filming the same video once more. Just really cool to see that. But right, meet you at that bridge down the bottom. Absolutely windy, and enjoy the rest of the cinematics. So right, here we go. This is the bridge what really fascinates me, going all the way down to Coseley Tunnel. You can just see how old it really is and how high it goes all the way up together. It's got a date onto there of 1883. Wow, that really does date back a bit. You can just see panning all the way around. It meets the other corner just right away to the top. And I've just noticed once more, this one's really cracked really bad. If I zoom in, you can just see that massive crack going right away to the top. Just journey a little bit further down here, the very old steel onto the bridge itself, and then right away underneath it. So this one's actually called Warbrook Bridge. So right, this one's actually called Warbrook Bridge. If I just view from this angle on the corner, you can just see the date on this bit as well. If I just zoom in, you might be able to see it, 1883. So let's get the old Ordnance Survey maps up and see what was here back in the old days, because I've just noticed a very old footbridge down onto there. Not too sure if you can actually see it, but I don't think it's actually used anymore. Let's see what was actually here. So right, back in the old days I've actually found it, Warbrook Bridge, led all the way to coal mines. You can just see here, old coal shafts, got more coal shafts leading all the way up, so I think it was just a massive coal field stretching right away to the back. I've also just noticed there is like some more little bits and pieces. You've got Roseville, so that's actually where Coseley Tunnel is, so it leads all the way to there. So once more, I think it was just mining activity right around the corner. So that bridge what's been built may have led back in the old days to the collieries. I will quickly show you just onto the corner. So right, you can just see where the coal mine used to be situated on the back over there. We've got something new called Jubilee Court. I think it is actually a care home. But then we've got the very old footbridge what led all the way over, which isn't used anymore. So right, this one's actually called South Coseley Bridge, right around to the corner here. You can just see how old it really is. It's been painted over a few times. But I can imagine back in the old days, it might have been used for the workers to cross from one point to the other. You can just see it's not used anymore because it's all disused, all overgrown. So that there must have led up to there and also joined onto the towpath onto this angle. So that one once more really does date back a bit, so you can just see more interesting things. And then there we go, I think we're at Coseley Tunnel now, so it's only a little bit of a further journey down and then we're at the tunnel entrance. So here we are, Coseley Tunnel. You can just see the entrance going all the way through. We've got all the overgrowth just onto the other side. It is really cool to see this because it has a lot of history behind it once more, which I have covered in another video before. But if I just view all the way down, we've got a perfect cut-in leading to the other side, going under Coseley itself. So there is a story with Hannah Johnson Cox, a woman that murdered the 2 children at the entrance of the tunnel, just right around the corner. So right, it actually does say here, Hannah Johnson Cox was convicted of the murder of her 2 children, 2-year-old Flora Jane Cox and 5-month-old Mary Madeline Cox. She was found guilty but insane. She drowned them on the 14th of June 1901 in the Birmingham Canal at Coseley. She had 5 children in total, the others being 7, 6 and 5 years old. The court heard that she had been deserted by her husband and was destitute. Evidence was heard showing that during the greater part of her married life that she had to depend for support on the generosity of some neighbours, and that but for those people that her children would have been in a state of starvation. It was also heard that owing to her husband's drunken habits that she was deeply in debt, and that on the 13th of June 1901 that she was homeless without a penny and had slept that night at a neighbour's house. So there is lots of information here. I'm not going to read all the way through it, but there's tons. But there is an interesting part here that I can actually read to you. It says here, she was seen the following morning going towards the canal with her children, and later she rushed into the police station and stated that she had thrown them into the canal. The police constable said to me, what's wrong with her hands, and said, oh God, help me. She later said to the police sergeant, I love those children as dearly as I love my life. The children were found later in the canal, tied together with an apron. And it also states here that a boatman, it says, had found a child's bonnet tied to some railings and recovered the bodies of 2 children from the canal. But then later on she was actually found guilty by the jury. There's lots of information behind Hannah Johnson Cox. I will drop a link in the description. I could keep reading it. They've actually put more information on there, what they've actually found out. So, you know, going back to the archives, you can imagine how far it really does date back, and the information what went out, so you can read bits of information online about it. So right, what I want to do today is head through Coseley Tunnel, try and get on the opposite side of the canal, take my bike all the way through and try a bit of a ghost hunt. It's something that I've tried before here, and I've got some weird things, but you can imagine that gruesome thing, murdering the 2 children here. It's believed that Hannah Johnson Cox still comes and visits as a ghost here inside the tunnel. It's been seen numerous times by various people who have travelled all the way through. I don't know how true it really is, so I'm going to go and find out. Will we get anything at all, anything linked to that? Let's go and find out. If you are interested, then stay tuned through the video. I've got some more cool things to come. So right, just before we get into the ghost hunt, I want to see if I can get over to the other side of the canal. So just before we do that, we've got to head all the way through and get to the other side. So where we need to be is on that side of the canal, because this one's actually used regularly. Not many people come across this one because it leads nowhere. I think back in the old days that would have been another towpath on that side, but it's completely overgrown. So here we go inside Coseley Tunnel. You can just see the architecture, the way it's actually being designed. It just really does date back a bit. Gets a little bit dark in here, so I'm not going to put my main torches on just yet, because I can sort of see the floor. But it really does remind me of a smaller version of Netherton Tunnel itself. So let's just journey on and meet you at the other side of the tunnel. So here we are, we've made it, North Coseley Bridge, just right around the corner. You can just see the canal going all the way down to the bottom of the Wolverhampton level. There's tons of history down there, and if one time I might actually cycle a bit further and go all the way to Aldersley Junction, where the BCN actually ends and goes all the way onto the Staffordshire and Worcestershire Canal. And you can also go down to Stourbridge that way, so if I can get round to doing that, I'll definitely do a video onto it. So I'm going to change my cameras around now. I'm going to use my new camera, the Osmo Action 4, because it is really great for the ghost hunting. I've picked up some really good things because it's a louder mic. So when we get in there, I am interested to see if we're going to pick anything up at all. But not only for that, I really do find it interesting. It just dates so far back a bit. I mean, from the outside, there's little bits of things sticking right away up. I think it's actually grade listed. But I just really do love the architecture of some of these old tunnels themselves. So here we are, we've made it, got to the other side. It is completely overgrown to get right away over, but you can sort of see these old things sticking right away from the top. If I just pan to show you, you've got these onto the corner. I must say it is really cool to see those, and once more of a tunnel leading right away through. It's really wet. I've noticed all this water dripping. If I just come further down, you can just see all the water drips coming from the ceiling. I'm not too sure, there might be actually a big leak all the way from the top. So I reckon there's a massive leak on top of the ceiling coming from somewhere, because all this water dripping happens every day. It's constant, it never ends, but I've noticed it's sort of getting worse. They're going right the way through, and I think there is even more water drips through here now than what there ever was before. So right, here we are inside Coseley Tunnel. We're just waiting for the narrow boat to come all the way through, so it should just be a little bit of a minute or so. But I have come a little bit away in, so it's completely much more darker. You can just see the walls, we've got a light onto them, how old they really are. So I've got a couple of things with me today. I've got the K2 meter, but I've not only just got that, we've got the necrophilia cap, so we can actually use it in this investigation today to see what we can actually pick up. So we'll begin our investigation by asking a series of questions relating to Hannah Johnson Cox. So when the narrowboat has gone and it goes really quiet, we'll see what we can actually pick up. Anything related to that is what I'm hoping to get today. Well, you never know, there could be some other things, because this tunnel really does date back really old. There could be, you know, hauntings from the past, how old it really is. Just really don't know, so I am interested and I can't wait to see what we actually get. So right, if there is a spirit here at Coseley Tunnel, would you like to come forward and make yourself known, please? If you could come forward, maybe talk to my camera. If the spirit of Hannah Johnson Cox is here, would you like to make yourself present, please, for me today? Just heard something there. So right, we've got the K2 in our hands. It's gone really quiet. I'm hoping we can pick at least something up onto this. So let's begin. So if there is a spirit here by the name of Hannah Johnson Cox, would you like to come forward to the device on the floor for me and make yourself known? If you are here, I'd like to know if you murdered your 2 children at the entrance of a tunnel and tied them up in an apron. Is this true? Could you come forward and make yourself I'm getting some activity. Yeah, you can clearly see, guys, there, the K2 is going up. So if that's you, keep it on 3 lights, please. Look at that, it's going to 3 lights, no way. That is crazy. So that is definitely you then, Hannah. That is insane. Was you found guilty when you murdered your children? Is this true? Go to the light on the floor and communicate with it. Was you guilty, Hannah? Yeah, you can clearly see the K2's going up. Was it because of your husband while you was in debt? Is this true? What I've read online, I know a bit about you. Was you in debt while you murdered your children? Go to the green light. Was you in debt? Oh, K2's going on. Do you wish you never murdered your children? Do you wish you could have lived an easier life than the one you had? Not a penny to... Oh my God. Flipping heck. I don't know if you guys can hear that. It sounded like metal banging then or something. I mean, that narrowboat's way gone. This was a bit before, after that. So if you are here, Hannah, I think I might have just heard you. This is creepy. Just heard something there. And I've just noticed someone walking all the way through with no torches. That really creeped me out. I thought there was somebody coming down there, then a ghost. So right, we'll go back to the K2 meter questions and see what we get. So Hannah Johnson Cox, was it 1901 when you murdered your children? So right, here we go. We're going to try necrophonic app and see if we can get any questions to come forward. Let's give it a try. So if there is any spirit here related to Hannah Johnson Cox, would you like to come forward and make yourself known, please, for me? Would you like to answer me some questions? Did you murder your children? Why did you murder your children? I just heard that, guys. I don't know if you just heard that. You sound like on top of that like a woman. Temperature's really gone cold in here now. It's gone absolutely freezing. So, did you murder your children because you was poor, you was in debt? Is this true? So, right, I'm going to answer you a series of questions now. If you'd like to come forward and communicate with me and make yourself known, I much appreciate it. Did you murder your 2 children? So right, that's about it for the video today. I hope you've really enjoyed it. It's nice going down the Birmingham Canal, showing you bits and pieces of history, and also showing you the canal section down to here, Coseley Tunnel, and doing a bit of a ghost hunt. If you've really enjoyed it, please smash that like button. I really appreciate it. But the weather at the moment has gone absolutely horrible. It's raining, it's gone absolutely cold. I think it's in for the rest of the afternoon, so if I can make it back on time, I might be able to avoid the worst of it. So you see the water dripping right away down. It is sort of a bit worse because of the rain what I'm having. But well, thank you very much for watching, and see you soon. The Midlands Outdoors out. Stay tuned for more exploring the Black Country. I've got more planned. See you soon, guys.